Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are here in Princess Juliana Airport looking at the ATR-72, and I'm here today to talk to you about something really pretty amazing, which is the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. Now, any of you who've watched my channel, you guys know that I'm a head tracker user. I've been a head tracker user for 15 years, and I've gone so far as to say that I wouldn't flight sim without it, and I stand by that. I think it's that important. The issue is there really hasn't been much development with head tracker software over the last 10 to 15 years. And that has now changed. The Tobii Eye Tracker 5 is a revolutionary product, and I'll tell you about that here in a moment. Now, first of all, the good folks at Tobii reached out to me and asked me if I'd be willing to do this review. They did not give me any restrictions as to what I could or couldn't say. These are all my opinions. And having spent probably 3,000 hours using head tracking devices in flight simulation, I think I have a pretty good level of experience to draw from. Now, the, uh, the they did give me a Tobii Eye Tracker 5, so this video is sponsored by Tobii, and between now and April 1st, there is a 15% discount on the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. And there's also a sweepstakes going on between now and March 31st, which is another 12, 13 days, where they are giving away one Eye Tracker 5 and 5 copies of Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I will put the link to both the discount and the sweepstakes in the description, so please take a look at those. And so let me talk to you a little bit about the Eye Tracker 5. One of the interesting things about it, it's called the Eye Tracker 5. You figure it's an eye tracker, which it is, but it's also a head tracker. And we'll look at this in detail when we get into the settings in the sim. But that's really one of the cool things about it, and one of the truly remarkable things about it is that you can use it as an eye tracker or a head tracker. Really, what you're going to do is both. And you can set in the in-sim settings how much you want your eyes to control where you look versus how much you want your head to control where you look in the sim. And that's a really, really cool feature. Now, what's the big thing about head tracking or eye tracking? And it's immersion. Now, I don't really know how you fly effectively either using your mouse or a hat button on your yoke or joystick to look around your environment. It's very very difficult to fly effectively that way, and one of the reasons is because I'm an FAA instrument rated pilot, so I have a fair bit of flight experience, and one of the most important tools that we have as pilots is our eyes and our heads, the ability to glance at things to get a quick bit of information that you need. And when you're using either a hat button or your mouse or whatever you're using the keyboard to look around, it's not very easy to get a quick look at something. Like for example, to get a quick look at a specific instrument while you're on an approach, be it VFR or IFR, looking for traffic or objects, depending on where you are, um, or things like flying the traffic pattern to base the final turn. You're trying to keep track of your airspeed, your configuration, your vertical speed, and you're also needing to look outside the cockpit and be able to get a quick glance at the runway so you know when you can start your turn. I don't know how you do that without head tracking or eye tracking software, and that's why this is so important. Um, when you get inside the cockpit, so obviously I've got it paused right now, and this is another really cool thing about it, and so there are, you can look around. This is me looking around right now with my head. And you can use. We'll look at the settings in a little bit, but you can accelerate basically how much your view changes depending on how much you move your head. Um, but not only can you look around like this, but you can also still use it with all of your views. So I've got this view set up to look at the FMC to look at the radios, all that stuff. I've got an overhead panel view. You can use that. I've got passenger views, and you can use it with the passenger view, just like you're sitting in the seat looking around, which is really, really interesting. Um, Now, a couple of things that are also really useful. It's got a pause button, which I was actually using at the beginning of this video. So let's say, for whatever reason, I just want to pause the head tracking or the eye tracking for a minute. Let's say I want to take a drink of water. Let's say, I need to get up and do something. You can just hit one. You can set a hotkey and pause it. I've got that set to a key on my Honeycomb Alpha, which is very, very convenient. And the other thing you can do, let's say, and any of you who watch my videos, I do this. I fidget in my seat quite a bit before I get ready for an approach, because I just have to be perfectly comfortable in exactly the right spot in my seat, or else I twitch. And you can also recenter. So if you move your seat, let's say I move my seat, and rather than being where I was, I wind up back here, or I wind up here, you just click the button, and it recenters you back to where you originally had yourself set up, which is really, really convenient. And that's another hotkey or button that you can set, which is really, really convenient. Now, a couple of the things that make this so much different from what I had been using. And number one, it's very, very, very easy to set up. Okay. Setting up other head trackers is very difficult. I know most people who even have them don't get the full benefit out of it because setting them up is so difficult. I get a lot of questions on my videos. How do you set that up? It's not easy. With the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, it's incredibly easy. All the settings and the setup is integrated into Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's super easy, and we'll look at that in a little bit. Um, the other thing, of course, is there's no wires. So I have a wireless headset, and with the previous head tracking device that I was using, I had to have a wire attached to my wireless headset because of the LED clip, right? So with the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, there are no wearables. You don't have to have a hat with clips on it. You don't have to attach a wired LED clip to your headset. Much, much more convenient. So now I am truly wireless in sitting here in flight simulation. Now, another couple things that people worry about or wonder about, that one of them is light, right? So I'm in a room that during the daytime gets a lot of bright light, a lot of direct sunlight. And with the previous device I was using, I had to basically close not only the shades in this room, but I had to close the door to this room and another room behind me, because any bit of light that gets in and shines on something or reflects off something would set the head tracker off to, it would just go crazy. With the Tobii, you don't have to worry about that. Um, and same thing with dark light conditions. In the evening, nighttime, it's not the brightest room in the house. No problem at all. Now, here's one that I was really, really curious about. And I've heard other people say that it works fine if you wear glasses. I wear glasses that have a blue light filter, which filters out some of the blue light that comes from your monitor. So I was really curious to see whether it would work okay with my glasses. And guess what? It works perfectly fine with my glasses, which is really pretty amazing. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to tell you about before we do this. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to set it up physically on your monitor. Then we'll go through the software and setup, and we'll go through the in-sim settings, and then I'll do an approach and landing for you. You guys can see it in action. Now, once again, it's incredibly easy to set up. You'll see in the following clips how simple it is. So let's get to the actual physical setup of the device. So the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 could not be any easier to set up. It comes in this box. You simply open it up and you remove it from the package. As you can see, it's a very compact little device. There is another box in here, which helps you get started. It's got the cables, it's got some instructions, and all you do is take the alcoholic wipe that is provided, and then you take this little magnetic strip, you wipe down the bezel of your monitor, peel the backing off, place the backing here on the bottom of the monitor, and then you take the Eye Tracker 5, and it literally just snaps into place once I find the right spot. And that's it. Once you have it connected to your computer, the setup is super easy. The install program pops up automatically, and I'll show you how the calibration works. It's very simple. See this? It's kind of interesting. Now watch this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's it. That's the entire setup process. All right, now let's talk about the in-sim settings. Now this is where this thing really stands out. So once you have it set up and plugged in, it's going to automatically be detected in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And you can there's actually two things that you need to do to set up the pause button and the reset position that I was talking about earlier. Now, toggle head tracking, that's the one that pauses it. So you just go into your camera for whatever flight list. So I'm using my Alpha Flight Control, and whatever you're using, you just go in, set toggle head tracking, joystick button, whatever you want to use, or you can use a keyboard command, whatever. And then you set one for eye tracking reset, which is the one that resets your position. So those are two things that you're going to want to set. And then when it comes to the Tobii itself, as you can see, there's nothing to set here. You just click the sensitivity button, and we come in here. Now, as I said before, this is one of the ways that this thing really stands out. It's so easy to set up. The eye tracking versus head tracking ratio. The first of all, you can mess around with the settings, and anytime you want to go back to the default, you just press the reset button. It'll take you back to whatever the default value was. Now, what the eye versus head tracking means is this is basically how much eye tracking you use. If the slider is set more towards this end, it's more eye tracking, less head tracking. If it's set towards this end, it's more head tracking, less eye tracking. I have it personally set as completely a head tracker. I have it set entirely as a head tracker. I have found some instances where, particularly VFR, where I actually prefer having a little bit of eye tracking in it. So you can set it to, say, 0.9. But that's a really great setting. Now, this is the responsiveness. This is how quickly it responds to the movement of your eyes if you're using the eye tracking part. Head tracking sensitivity, pitch and yaw. This is looking up and down, left, right. And what it is, this is basically an accelerator. So if you have it set to 1, it's going to give a 1-to-1 movement in the sim for the movement that you make with your head, right? So if you set it to 2, it's going to move twice as much in the sim as you move physically. And So in other words, if you took a look to your left 45 degrees, what it would do, it would move, it would look 90 degrees to your left in the sim if you have it set at 2. Um, Center stabilization is a dead zone, and that's a really, really helpful thing, particularly for me making videos. When if you've got it, if you don't have much of a dead zone or no dead zone, when you're talking, your head is moving, and so that can, that will show up in the sim. So whatever you want to do, you can set a dead zone, a center stabilization value that you're happy with. Head tracking sensitivity to roll, which is like if you tilt your head, ear towards your shoulder, left to right. And this setting right here is very, very important. This is the head tracking sensitivity position setting. The default setting right now is 0, and you're going to want to set this to at least 1, because what that does is it gives you a one-to-one movement in the sim for leaning forward, leaning back, moving left to right. And I can show you real quick what I'm talking about. Uh, let's go back into, no, I don't want to do that. Let's go back into the ATR, and I'll release the hold that I had. So this is roll. This is pitch. This is yaw. And this is position, right? So let's say you need to see something over here. You can just look down there. So like I said before, you can use your preset settings, your preset views, but for other things that you don't want to preset a view for, you can also just look at. So that's the in-sim settings. It's incredibly easy to set up, and not only is it easy to set up, it's easy to experiment with and figure out what best works for you. So now that we've done this, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to do an approach and landing in the mighty Cessna 152 to an airport that's actually just off in that direction over there. The main airport in the French side of St. Martin, which is Grand Casse. And in this video, you're going to see a bubble on the screen, which is going to show you where my eyes are looking. So that's another thing as a content creator. I can now do videos, let's say on ILS approaches, other types of things, maybe complex maneuvers, flight maneuvers, steep turns, things like that, or I can show my viewers what I'm looking at. It's incredibly accurate. Now, bear in mind, you won't see this in the sim if you're using it. So don't be worried that, oh my gosh, if I get this device, now all of a sudden I'm going to have a bubble on my screen all the time and it's going to irritate me. It's just for demonstration purposes, and let's take a look at that real quick. And this is a runway 12 approach, so to be on a perfect downwind, we want to have that 12 right at the bottom of our heading indicator, and we'll start pulling the power back. And now you can see what I'm looking at as I'm trying to get ready for this approach. Now, I don't want the throttle to get too low. Say a quick hello to Anguilla, my favorite place in the world. And again, if you need to look over here to see where the runway is to start your base turn, very, very easy. And see, with this, you can duck down and do that, which is really pretty amazing. Now for runway 12, what I want to do to get on a good base is get a 12 on that left hash mark there. And I'm in flap range. I'll put in my first notch of flaps. And there's my runway. About a 300 foot per minute descent rate is what I want. Again, don't want the throttle to get too low, because this airplane is so slow that you don't want a really strong descent rate. at this point anyway. So again, you can see what I'm looking at, what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about where the runway is. I'm concerned about what my vertical speed is. I'm concerned about what my altitude is. I want to turn final at about 500 feet. And so I'm going to need a little bit more power. We're at 65 right now. What I want to do is get myself trimmed at 65, where I'm good and happy. 70 is fine. And again, it's super easy to do. You can see that nose dropping a little bit. Keep an eye on the altitude. Don't mind the nose coming down a little bit. It's gonna pop back up. That's the way physics works. And 70 knots. Always better to turn in too early than too late. So now I'll bring some power out, bring some more flaps in. The reason you want to turn early rather than too late is if you turn in too early, and again here we need a little bit of power, keep an eye on the speed. If you turn in too late, you've got to overbank the aircraft, and overbanking at low altitudes is not good. So again, you can see I'm just looking at the runway, looking at my airspeed, vertical speed, all good. Alright, mixture is rich, carbine's cold. I don't believe I meant to put full flaps in, but I've got full flaps. So we'll stick with it. Just means a little bit more power. Alright, I'm relatively happy with this. 300 feet. Okay. A little bit higher power setting than I normally would have for a landing. But really what you want is whatever power setting gives you what you're looking for. And what I'm looking for is about that 65 knots. And I'm pretty high, but that's okay. Too high is better than too low. So keep an eye on the speed as we come down. Power out a little bit. Keep an eye on the speed. Keep an eye on the speed. Power is all the way out. Greased it on. Go hard on the brakes, and now we'll go pull that yoke back, get some aerodynamic braking, and there we go. And another cool thing when you lean that mixture a little bit for taxi. Another cool thing is when you are taxiing, it makes it way easier to keep your head in the direction you're going, in the direction you want to go, and be able to look independently of where the airplane is going. So good. We like the taxi on center line. It's kind of neat to be able to see, and you can actually use this as well if you want to get better, and who doesn't, at your landings. You could use this and record and be able to see what you're looking at, because one of the biggest problems that we have, one of the biggest issues with our landings is getting fixated on things, getting fixated on airspeed, getting fixated on your vertical speed, getting fixated on your altitude. Whereas what you can do is with this, be able to review what you're focusing on. The the benefits are really pretty much endless. So let's go mixture to idle cutoff, and I just moved my view with my mouse there, which wasn't what I wanted to do. We'll set the parking brake. We will put our flaps up before we turn the master switch off, because that way our flaps will actually go up. And we have had a successful flight here into Grand Casse Airport on the French side of St. Martin. So I'll show you here in a second how to how to unbox this and how easy it is to set up and how easy it is to do the software setup. Once again, Tobii has the deal going on, 15% off through April 1st, and a sweepstakes for one Tobii Eye Tracker 5 and 5 copies of Microsoft Flight Simulator between now and March 31st. And, you know, I have had a lot of experience with eye tracking devices, literally thousands of hours. And the ability to be able to set this up as quickly as you can, be able to um, calibrate it to your preferences and your needs as easily as you can with this device is truly, truly remarkable. The good folks at Tobii did give me this device to let me review it. They did not tell me what I can and can't say, and so everything I've told you is my opinion. And I have nothing bad to say about this thing. I have no uh, drawbacks to say about this thing. It's a wonderful device, um, and I can only very strongly recommend you guys consider it. Especially, like I said, over the next 2 weeks or so, you get a nice discount for it. So I would encourage you guys to check it out. Go ahead and buy it. I would do so without hesitation. And it surprises me that not more people that are as passionate about flight simulation as they are get into a product like this, because it is absolutely game changing for flight simulation. So I really thank you guys for watching. I'm going to do real quick the setup, the physical setup, and also the software setup, and then that'll be the end of the video. If you guys have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day.